Transformers reviews, tech and the news, whatever else I use as a muse. Hit subscribe, I appreciate the views. Influences interest on YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. This is Influence. Today I got the Studio Series 86 Decepticon Sweep. Now I believe this is just a repaint, or I'm sure it's not retooled, of Scourge. I can't talk. I don't know what's going on. I can't talk this early into the review. Yeah, I think this is just a repaint of Scourge. I think it's a little lighter or a different color. I'm not 100% sure because I don't have the original version of Scourge, but I'm assuming there's something maybe different about this since it's billed as a sweep. And we all know they were like clones of Scourge. They just all look alike. So yeah, you got the 360. I'm actually rather impressed with this figure. So let's get into it. So I'm rather impressed with this figure. I can say initially, my thoughts are the face sculpt is pretty much money. The paint work, I believe this is paint, not plastic. It may be plastic, but it feels like paint. This is certainly paint because I see the blue plastic. So there may be blue plastic painted, like this part painted and the face, of course. But the paint work, and I'm not a paint person. I mean, I love paint, but I'm not an expert in painting. Like I don't see certain things that other people may see that are involved with like painting figures and doing different things to their figures. Like right here, this is a sore, like kind of an eyesore, which can be a negative, but I'm using that to show like this thing looks great. It looks great. The back is what the back is always, and it's just his wings because he's just the typical shell former that he always is. I don't think he'll ever change in transformation. It's just the design of the character. But yeah, I just think the face sculpt and just the overall presence of the character, they really did a good job on it. So let's get into some accessories. So he comes with this, which I just have in his hand for some reason. I just wanted him to hold it because wasn't nothing else to do with it. So you get this, which is the blast effect. It is bent in the package. It gets bent, and you know this plastic is pretty soft. So you see it's malleable, and you can bend it all over the place. Then you get this gun. The gun is a little, I don't know. I don't really like it because it's got all these waffles. I think it's by design, but I'd rather have a solid gun. Say like the Studio Series of the Bumblebee movie guns, how they have a lot of molded details, but they're solid. It's not, you know, they don't have holes. It looks like they were saving money, kind of. I'd rather them just have a thinner gun, but you got a peg there, peg here, and we'll get into that later. Got the directions. Directions are fine. As usual with Hasbro directions. I mean, I don't know if it's the character that lends itself to being an easier transformation than Masterpiece, which is mostly true, but also the directions are pretty much better than any Masterpiece directions I've used, except for a few. So then you have a typical box. All the boxes in the store, I got this from Target, so all the boxes in the store were broken. There wasn't nothing I could do about it. I was still gonna buy it, so I'm not a box collector anyhow. And you also have, as with all Studio Series, and I do like the background because it's when Galvatron turned them into the Cyclones and the Sweeps, and he certainly can fit on this background. So let's get into a little bit of comparisons. So here's the Bumblebee Studio Series, and of course they're different lines, so they don't really match up. It's okay. You can see just how small the Bumblebee series is, which I said before. Let me get a few more Galvatron and Cyclonus over here. So we got Galvatron, which this isn't Studio Series, but it is the main line. I'm not sure if they're coming out with a Studio Series Galvatron. It may be a Legacy Galvatron. And then you have Cyclonus. Just for fun, I compare him to Masterpiece Scourge. So we can see that Scourge and his little big Scourge and little Scourge. Here's some Studio Series Autobots. And I think that's pretty good comparison because I think Scourge is bigger than them, or should have been bigger than them. No, I don't compare figures a lot. Like, there's times when I compare a figure to one figure, so I'm trying to change that a little bit so we can get into articulation now. These wings can move out like that. They're supposed to be in, but you can move them out if you want, if you need to. Get these arms back. Speaking of the arms go all the way around, except for this right here. Even when it's back as far as it can go, you still have to swing the arm out a little bit. The arm goes all the way up. Articulation. You have a single jointed elbow for 90 degrees. His hand, you have one hand that's kind of open like this, and one hand that's holding the gun. And his hands can spin around, and they're painted. And the nails are painted, of course. He has the nails that he has. Waist swivel. You can get all the way around if you need to. Head, I didn't really do the head. You got down about that far. Back is really nothing, and you can get side to side. No, I don't know what's hindering it. I'm not sure. I don't think it's, yeah, it's just the way the head's built, so it doesn't get too much back. You can have straight. This is transformation, but I don't know why you would want it. You can move that if you need to. As far as the hurdles, he looks like he may snip a hurdle with his heel spur. So that doesn't get a whole lot, but it's probably enough. Splits too, not all the way, but probably enough, depending on what you want to do. This guy's pretty tolerant as well. That's another thing. Like, the arms are friction, but they are pretty nice, pretty tight. They can support his weight and hold the legs as well, even though they are getting a little loose up here. But then you have the thigh swivel that's built at the top. You have his knee. It can get, this does get in the way a little bit back here, of course, but you can move that out. If you move it more towards the front, then he can get his knee. And it's about 90 degrees, just the way his leg shape, it looked like a little bit more. Rocker is pretty limited, but I also think it's kind of the way the rocker is. You can get the rocker like that, but you see it flips back up. It's almost like it's spring loaded, but it's not. I believe it's just this stuff, and you can kind of see the paint rubbing off, or maybe getting a little too bunched up from moving this back and forth. But this one is okay. This one stays. It does pop back up, but you can get it to stay. This one doesn't really stay like I want it. So you get about that much if you can get it to stay. Toe tilt goes down. Doesn't really go up. Whole foot doesn't really move anywhere. And the heel spur can go down and up. And that helps. Like, you can put the heel spur down to counteract his back heaviness. I mean, even though he's back heavy, he does stand up well. But yeah, in the back, of course, I showed it before, and it's pretty messy as usual because of all the wings and stuff, wings and things. we can get into transformation, which isn't too difficult. This guy is a shell former. There's a peg here. Put it together. I usually flip the or flip these in, flip these around. There you go. Move this out just to get out your way. Pull this down. Now as this is going down, you see a peg there and it pegs into this arm right here. So you just get it down as far as you need to peg that into there. Pegs pretty tightly. This over here, again, peg into the arm. Once you get that, you can kind of take stock into where you're at and see and make sure it's straight. This does come apart, the legs. I mean, it'll go back together when, you know, when you get done, but for now, it does come apart. So then you have this, you move this down like that so you can get all this back. Move this out here and it kind of unfurls. Move this way because then you're going to want it to post into there. And what you want to post into there is this thing right here. All of this is tight, but you move that up and then you move this up here and it kind of pegs on there like that. I believe it's like this because then you can put the blast effect on here, but I like it like this until I want a blast effect on there. Either way you can do it. It doesn't hinder anything. Just makes it a little bit, I guess, a little bit more. I guess you can turn this around for now. Just gonna make it how it's supposed to be, I believe. Then this can go back here and it pegs in there and kind of keeps everything together. You can move this back here like that. And this is gonna cover up his face. So then you just fool with this stuff right here. You just move this out here and it kind of clamps around. You see this, the way this is, it clamps around there. Then you can move this out. Then you can move this up here. This will probably fall down as you're maneuvering it, but that's how it goes. Move this out here. Clamp this around here. This out here. It's friction tab, but it's a weird place for a friction tab. Like you would think it would be a regular tab. And now it's pretty intuitive. Just move this over. It's on double hinges. So you move that over and down like this and around everything. And then there's different places where it pegs in. You just get it pegged in. Do the same over here. I'll show it from this angle. You can see that hinge. It's a double hinge. Goes down. Make sure this stuff, it kind of gets out of sorts, but it goes back in easily enough. Move that up if it's not up. Make sure all that stuff is tabbed together and then just flip these over, which kind of cover up the body on the bottom. And you got his boat mode, his space boat. And yeah, it looks like Scourge, or the sweeps, I should say. I keep saying Scourge, but you know, it's the same thing. It's little holes right here. I assume you can put blast effects, like the actual thruster effects, because this one fits. So I don't have any on hand, but I'm sure you can put them back there, make it a little bit better than just these feet, just showing these feet. That's probably the biggest drawback, that the legs just stick out the back. Again, it looks like Scourge. You can put this here if you want. You can put this, has a peg on the side, so you can put it on either side. Peg hole, peg hole. Stick this on the side here. And there you go. He's armored. It looks dumb, but it is what it is. And then you can put, if you got a couple blast effects, you can put them on these things as well. These things always fall down just because of the nature of them. Yeah, you can put it over here. And you can even show his face. Move this. It says to move this out. I don't know why. I'm not sure if you have to. But I know you have to move this up. Maybe that's why, because you want it, you got to get it unpegged. You actually can do it like this if you want to. I mean, it's more risk. But you get this up here. Get up there like this. And then these things tab into the side of these. Like this. And you move this down. And now you have it. Oh, let me put it like this. And now you have it where his face is up. You know, the famous thing he did in the cartoon, which is always hilarious to me. Symbol here, color, paint. I mean, it's pretty plain, but that's what it is. It's a shell former. So let's go back to robot mode now. Since we did all this, I'll just move that out. Move this up. This is like overlapping. You kind of move that up and then you kind of move this out at the same time. It does get difficult. I kind of get all this stuff out of here and it kind of helps to pull this out. And again, over here, you want to get this unpegged from his arm. It's pegged around there. And then you can kind of pull it out. But once you get this one out, you can also pull it this way. And you know, it's that double joint. So you got to like pull it up and over. And then it's just a matter of getting everything back to where it's supposed to be. This is already down. This goes up here. You got to move this, all this down. You see this, how it is. This is how it pretty much is. You just got to get it till it's up here. Then move this down here. And this stuff. And you can move the wings back. And there's a peg there and a peg's here. To keep that kind of locked. Keep the wings locked. It's twofold. Keep the wings locked and the backpack kind of locked. And just move the arms up. Move the arms up, down. Move the arms up. Move them down. Not much to it. Flip the feet out. Flip the feet out. Flip the heel spurs. You can out. And then these, it took me a minute to figure these out, but they're not hard. Like this, you close this one, you leave this one open and you bend it up and then bend it down. And that's how it is. I mean, you can really have it any way you want it. You can bend it up like this if you want less of protrusion down here. But this is the official way. Move that, move this up like that. And this is Studio Series 86 Sweep. This has been Influence. If you enjoyed this video, please likes help out. All right, I'll get up with you in another one.
Life ain't no, life ain't no, life ain't no. It's long as you alive, you can give another try and take it real high if you want.